Thank you for tuning in to the Life of KG podcast. We are all about helping you guys in the beauty industry. Whether you're starting out in this industry or been in the business for years, we want to motivate you, educate you, and support you to grow. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to A Life of KG. So today I'm interviewing Amy Lewis. So Amy, I met at the NatWest Accelerator program that we're both doing at the moment, and we just hit it off straight away. We've both got salons, she's into the franchising, she's got a product range, like quite similar to the things that I do, but in a different niche. And we just become very good friends. So I wanted her to come on the show today to kind of share her story and inspire you guys. And if you are salon owners, take some real good tips from her, because she owns 2 salons of her own that she's never really in. Obviously she's managing behind the scenes and stuff, but she has managers that run the salons, and it's just really inspiring to see like how she manages her businesses, because we do it all so differently. So without further ado, here is Amy. Hi Amy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks Casey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on today.
No worries.
So can you tell all the listeners who you are and what you exactly do?
So my name's Amy Lewis. I was about to give you my maiden name then. I used to be Neil. And I've got a beauty business called Mooeys, and we've got 2 salons, one in Farnham, one in Horsham. We franchise the salon and the brand. So we've got the first franchise in Hazelmere, and I've got my own wax line as well. And I'm currently creating lots of other things to go alongside it. So yeah, it's a beauty brand. That's what I do.
Amazing. So I have already done like an intro where, so everyone that's listening now knows that we met on the NatWest Accelerator program and stuff like that. So that's quite fun. So tell me, like, what's your background? What kind of made you get in the industry and then go on to set up 2 salons of your own?
Well, I've only ever known the beauty industry, in all honesty. I started when I was 15. I got onto, it used to be Henley Grange, it's now Champneys, and I got onto their program when I was just turned 16 I think it was. And I knew that I wanted to go into beauty. So I wanted to train at the best place I could locally, and that was it. So I started there, and then I was adamant I wanted to be on a fragrance counter. So I started at Debenhams and moved my way up, got onto Elizabeth Arden, and then went into kind of work as high up in the industry as I could. So my goal was always to be the best spa manager in the biggest team. That was always my goal. But I always wanted to work for myself, but I wanted to learn from every other place that I could. So I needed to do a setup so that I got that experience. So I done that and set up the Butlin Spa in Bognor Regis.
Did you?
Yeah, I set that up. That was awesome. That was a really good experience, because it was a building site, and I recruited my team, I trained my team, I chose a uniform, put all the finishing touches on it, helped create the treatment menu, all of that sort of stuff. It was fantastic, best experience ever. And then I went on to work at Centre Park, so I managed the spa at Aquasana, because I never wanted to work in London, and that was kind of the best spa I could work in outside of London. So that was like my final goal before I set up on my own. But between there, I worked on cruise ships for 7 years as well, and then worked shoreside in Southampton doing their recruitment and operations and loads of things. But the goal was always to learn, and with other people's money, before I set up on my own, I suppose.
Clever.
And then yeah, the Mooeys came about because I backpacked around the world for a year, and I worked in Australia for 6 months, in Sydney, and I worked in this awesome salon, and they taught me how to do intimate waxing with hot wax. They literally said to me, "You're not going anywhere near our clients with strip wax. Not happening. So if you don't know how to do it, we will teach you." And they did, and I had this incredible therapist teach me about hot wax and how to use it, and how to do a really good intimate wax, and how to do brilliant eyebrows and things like that. And then in between cruise ships, I came back to Bedford and worked in a salon and introduced them to hot wax, and then trained up the team there. And I was always really passionate about it. And I think it's still one of their most popular treatments now. And then when I finished at Centre Parks, it was quite corporate. I had a team of 110, I think it was at one point.
Wow.
So it was really full on. It was a £5 million turnover spa. It's a massive beast of an operation.
Is that the one? It's the one at Woburn.
I went to Longleat, so I was
Right.
kind of, my goal was to open Woburn when I was working at Centre Parks. That was my goal. I was there. I wanted to put my name forward for Woburn. I was kind of earmarked for it. And then all of a sudden I had a massive change of heart, and I was like, I'm in my 30s now, and I really want to do my own thing. I feel like I've learned so much, and Centre Parks was a massive learning curve financially. I'd learned so much about how to manage a business of that size financially, when before I hadn't even been able to see the P&L accounts of the salons and spas I'd managed. But this time I was there. I was responsible for it. I was responsible for the revenue. I had to report every 4 weeks, the period review to the village manager. It was really quite intense, but I learnt loads. So I kind of thought, well, I've gone as far as I can. And then the next stage would be operations and senior management. And that's not in me. I just didn't want to do that. It's in me, but not in another company.
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the train to Bath with my then boyfriend, now husband. And I said, I just want to get back to my roots. There's a lot of people that kind of work their way through their careers to get to the top of their game. And then when they're there, they realise that actually they missed what they started in the first place. And I really missed just waxing and doing the treatments that I love. And I said, he goes, just humour me. Like, if you done, I don't know, how many Brazilian waxes could you do in a day? And if you just had a room somewhere, how many could you do? And I was like, I worked it all out. And I said, well, it's an average of £35 at the time with hot wax, intimate waxing. And it worked out like 75 grand or something for doing 5 days a week, sort of 9 till 5. And I'm there busting my balls in Centre Parks, working every hour God sends, and dealing with so many different situations and problems. And I was like, I can't believe I can earn double the money and work for myself. I'm onto something. I'm just going to go back to that. And that's how the idea of working for myself all started, just on a train with a scrap piece of paper.
Wow. So when you launched your salons, was you in there like how did it come about? Was you there like mothering the salon the whole time? Like,
at the beginning, when I first started, it was my baby. I created a salon that I would want to go to. I wanted it. My nan was my kind of, not mentor in all of it, but my nan is like the head honcho of our family, and she just cracks me up. Everything she says makes me die. And I wanted to create a salon that had happy memories. So I made it around my childhood memories, like garden theme, like outside, countryside, floral, like a bit like my nan's house, like granny chic we used to call it. So we just kind of created this salon. Pardon?
That's so cool.
Yeah. And my nan always used to call ladies' top lips their Mooey. And I always wanted a salon called Muffs and Mooeys. That was always my thing. Like I came up with loads of different names. I sent out a questionnaire on, oh my God, what's it called now? Survey Monkey. And I think I had about 60 responses, just put it out on Facebook. Like, what do you think of this name? What's the most important thing to you if you go to a salon? What's really important when it comes to service? What sort of price point? I asked all the questions I needed to know, and the feedback was incredible. And it was actually the opposite to what I thought the salon needed to be about. It was really? It was one of the best things I've ever done, because lots of people, I think it was like 99% of the responses said they wanted something fun and friendly and something to tell their friends about. When at the beginning I was going all kind of fancy, like what I'd known in spas. And then when I asked people what they wanted somewhere comfortable, that they felt comfortable with therapists. And then I was like, well, actually, that's what I would want. So I just created this salon all around what I would want. And I wanted a salon that was like, for the therapists that weren't accepted in all those years of me recruiting for spas. They didn't look right, they didn't fit the bill, they didn't look good in uniform, or whatever it was. I wanted those therapists that weren't accepted in the spas, that were really fun, really creative, really bubbly, really chatty, that kind of belonged in a salon environment. Yeah, and I worked in it the whole time. I was there waiting for clients to come in. I was there doing all the treatments. I was there training the staff. I mean, I had no clue, really. I hadn't done treatments for so long. I had to kind of teach myself before I then taught my team.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously now they run completely on their own, don't they? You have managers in and stuff like that. How did you kind of get to that point? And when was that point of like, okay, I think I've not had enough in the salon now, but I need to obviously spread my wings and grow the company elsewhere? How did it
Yeah.
get to that point?
Well, I always wanted a brand. I never created it to have one salon, but I needed to see if the concept worked. So I had to work in it to understand if that concept worked and what the feedback was. Um, and then it just so happened that I fell pregnant, and it was always the plan to get married and have babies. And I fell pregnant within like 3 months, I think, of us trying, and it was a really good way of getting out of the business, because it kind of forced me, where before I always knew that I wanted to go and expand, but it kind of forced me to do it a bit sooner maybe. But I took on managers. Both of my managers are incredible. I know everyone says that about their staff, but I adore them both. And I took them on without any experience in management. They'd done some senior management stuff, but I took them on and then trained them. And I suppose my experience of coaching, mentoring, and leading big teams really helped me in that. So
Yeah,
I took them on
definitely.
and mentored them through it. And it was great because I was doing it whilst on maternity, but also I didn't want to be that manager that was always in the salon with a baby. I just didn't want to. I wanted to enjoy my maternity and just work remotely. So I kind of, I trained both managers to run their businesses like they're their own. So they have their own budgets, they have their own expenditure budgets, revenue, they know what they can and can't spend, they've got their own company credit cards, and they know what they can and can't do. And I wanted them to be really empowered to run it how they would if it was theirs.
That's so good. How did your kind of team feel about you stepping back and that happening? Because I know a lot of people now are very like, feel this guilt of, oh, I can't leave the team, or they're so used to me being there. Like, what did you ever have that feeling?
Not really, no, because I've never mothered them. I've always treated it like a business, and also a lot of my team at the beginning was self-employed, so they were all had that kind of business mentality anyway. And then the ones that were employed, they knew that that was always my goal. And Joe, luckily for them, Joe is she's my manager in Farnham, sorry, she's a really nurturing manager. She's got a real motherly instinct. So I think they probably preferred her in the end anyway,
Yeah.
because she was a lot kinder and nicer and like just wanted to look after them. And she was the perfect person to take over from me after I left.
Oh,
Um,
that's so good.
yeah, and then Emily is in Horsham, and she looks after the social media. She's a lot more creative, kind of. She's younger, she's trendy, and they both bring so many qualities to the business, and yet manage their businesses at the same time. And I do call them their salons. I feel sometimes funny going in, because I go in as big boss. I don't work in them anymore. I don't have anything to do with them as such. So I sometimes feel funny going in and like answering the phone on reception and stuff. It's really weird.
So when do you go in, just to tell people off?
Well, yeah. No, a lot of team know that if it gets to me, then it's more of a problem, because then I need to go in and sort it. However, I tend to try and not do that, because I think it's important for the managers to manage their own team and
Yeah.
not just fall back on me. So if they have got problems, I would tend to kind of coach them through it and how to deal with it, rather than go in and do it myself. And
Yeah.
they need to make their own mistakes. They need to grow and develop as people as well. So they need to make their own mistakes, and then I just pick them up. It's like having a toddler. You just kind of let them go about their way, and then pick them up when they fall over.
Yeah, it's so true, and I just think it's amazing that you've done that. I would say that like a lot of people are very emotionally attached to their business, and I get the vibe that you're not like that anymore. It might be quite completely different, you can tell me, but like they don't like leaving it, they find it hard to let go, they want to be there all the time. Would you say you are completely different to that?
Yeah, I've never been. I suppose in my first year and a half, I was like that, because it was my baby. But then as soon as I walked away from it, I felt really free, and I was free to then make really creative decisions. I wasn't so attached, but I still understood what the clients wanted and what the staff and team wanted. So yeah, I was kind of detached from it, and I really enjoyed that because I felt like I could then step aside and grow the business and grow the brand, because that's what I wanted. That's what I still want. I like that the salons just run themselves now, and it's been really hard work. It's not been an easy road, but it's a really lovely, I feel really lucky that I'm in that position now, that I can fully rely on my managers. And I don't really hear from them very often. You know, I speak to them and I touch base with them all the time, and we chat between us, but I go and see them once a month and spend sort of half a day, sometimes a full day, and actually spend time with them and talking to them. They can pick up the phone whenever they want, but they've kind of nailed it as well, which is great.
You're so good. And I think so many of my listeners are salon owners that have just got that such like emotion to the salon that find it really hard to let go, or the girls that I train really to come out of their salons, that one thing they hear is their guilt, or they feel that they can't leave and stuff like that. So listening to you, I just think it's going to completely like help them.
I suppose it depends on what you want from your business as well. You know, if you want one salon and that is your livelihood, then I suppose it would be really difficult to let go. But if you want an empire, or you want a brand, you have to step aside. Otherwise, you're never going to achieve that, are you?
No, 100%. 100%. So at the moment you have your own wax brand, which is absolutely gorgeous. Obviously I've had some smells and stuff when I see you, and obviously you specialize in this area. You did say about that coming from when you was in Australia, but where else did your passion come from? And obviously you're doing training, and well, you're going into training, which you told me about, and your products. What products do you offer?
So at the minute we've got a strip wax and a hot wax, and then we've got Moo Fresh wipes, which are like a biodegradable intimate wipe to use before waxing for your clients. So when you set up your couch, you just leave an intimate wipe there. It makes it easier for you as a therapist, but also it makes it a lot more comfortable for the client, that they can have a little freshen up. So we've got those currently, and then the range I'm developing now is the pre and post wax range, but I'm making the products a lot more universal. So it's not just a pre-wax cleanser and an after-wax lotion. It's an aloe vera lotion that can be used as a body lotion, hand cream, after-wax lotion. And I've created a specific essential oil blend. So I was really adamant I wanted products that actually do what they say they're going to do, and they're not just cheap products with a bit of fragrance in them, which I think when it comes to waxing, because the products, you can get really cheap waxing products, can't you? Same as you can with facial products. But if you're going to specialize in something, you want to use incredible products, not just cheap stuff. And people are spending a fortune on some waxes, but then still buying cheap pre and post products. So I wanted to create something that has a really beautiful blend of essential oils that smells amazing, but also does something for the skin, i.e. soothing, healing, regenerating, that sort of thing. And I've worked with an aromatherapist to create it, and it is beautiful. So that's happening, and I wanted it to be in environmentally friendly packaging. I don't want any plastic, if I can help it. So we're using aluminium bottles, and it's just going to be, like I said, really universal. So it'll be 200ml bottles and 1 litre bottles that you can refill, and then we'll have refill stations, so clients or therapists can just refill from a big 5 litre tub, and then save a bit of money that way as well, and just keep reusing the same packaging and the same pumps and stuff.
That's so good. So are you going to be selling that throughout to other salons as well?
Yeah. So the wax is available if people want it. I haven't I tried to sell it on Amazon and stuff, and it didn't really work because the people didn't really know the brand itself. And originally I just created the wax to use in my own salons, because as much as there's some great wax products out there, it wasn't quite what I wanted. I've used all of them, everything that's out there, and it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I was like, well, screw it, I'm just going to make my own. And it wasn't actually that difficult, but it's really good that we now have our own wax brand, and it has like a really sticky consistency, so it pulls all the little fluffy hairs when you're doing waxing with hot wax. A lot of them don't grab those little fluffies, do they? So we wanted something that was quite sticky, and we found it, so that's cool.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's a really nice wax as well. It just takes a bit while to get used to it, but it's really good. And then the dream was always to have a training centre to train therapists how to be really good at waxing, really good at intimate waxing, not just know how to do it and do a short course in it, but actually understand it, because fundamentally the passion, the drive and everything is all about the clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because those clients that are nervous, that are worried, that don't even think that their bits look normal, those are the clients that I want, because when you can treat them and make them feel great, it's the most rewarding feeling ever.
Definitely. How are your you thought about how your courses are going to work? Like, when are you thinking of launching them, of anything like that?
Yeah, so we're actually gonna be using the space in the franchise salon. She's got an upstairs that we're converting, and we're gonna start really small. Just gonna have teams of groups of between 4 and 6. And we've already started all the course content. It will be recognised with BABTAC, and I'm actually working with a midwife, sexual health worker, and a teacher she's a headmistress. She's an incredible teacher. She's had an incredible career so far. And I want to work with these people, these professionals, to really bring something new to the industry and create a training program that is all about client care and women looking after women. And thanks for the recommendation of the Behind the Mask training course. So all of that will be included. So people won't be certified with us unless they've done it. So Behind the Mask will help people spot the signs of domestic abuse and what to do about it, or what advice to give. And then the midwife, as when you're doing intimate waxing, you're normally the first people to see that women after labour, sometimes before their partners do. They get a sign off by the doctor, and then they come and have their wax, and then they get back on it again.
Yeah.
And I just think we've got a platform as therapists that we are there dealing with these people on a regular basis, dealing with these clients on a regular basis. There's got to be something in it that we can do a little bit more, or we can train people how to take really, really good care of them and love them a little bit. Love these clients so that they come back to you, and therefore you become an expert in your field.
Yeah, I just think it's such a brilliant idea, and there isn't anything like that, especially when you're combining it with bringing up these course content with all these specialised people and the sexual health and stuff like that. I just think it's brilliant.
Thank you. It's all of my passion, along with my team. All of we call them Mooeys. All of the therapists have all got a Moo name. I'm just head wench, but they've all got like Tequila Moo and Sunny Moo and all these names. And I've had them all involved, and they've all told me what they would have wanted to know when they went into waxing, or what's important to them, or what advice they would give, stuff like that. So we've kind of created it all. Everyone's been involved, and it's all lots of information from lots of people. But fundamentally, I want therapists to have the tools to be excellent and be a real master of their trade. And I'm a master of waxing, and I may have trained a very long time ago, but fundamentally it's still the same. And it's still all about the client. We've always had this no all fours policy. We'll never get people on all fours, because how degrading. I mean, if anyone's had a wax and they've been asked to get on all fours, it makes you feel awful. You've got your bum hole in someone's face, things like that. Clients don't need to experience that.
Yeah, I go for laser at the moment.
I do.
I get on all fours and I'm like, this is great. Never seen me in this position for a long time. Single Pringle over here.
Pringle, I love that. That's hilarious. I'll do you a swap for a few weeks.
Yeah, give yourself a rest. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, I just think it's just such a good idea, and I totally agree with you, and I think it's going to be a huge success, so good luck with that.
Oh, thank you.
And you also have obviously your franchise, which you've mentioned a couple of times. Obviously you wanted to launch your salon to then grow into a brand, so obviously franchising is the best way to be able to do that. Can you kind of tell our listeners, because they might be interested in joining your team, like
it's a tough old journey. It's not an easy route. My goal, when I first set up Mooeys and I was coming up with these ideas, I used to live in this tiny little flat in Frome, and I had the flip chart paper. Have you seen that? It's like sticky, it can stick onto walls, and my living room was covered. with all of this flip chart paper with notes and ideas and thoughts. And one of the biggest thoughts was, I want a chain of 10. I desperately want 10 salons. I want market towns all over the country to have the Mooeys.
Wow.
And then I opened my second and I was like, screw that, I don't want 10 on my own. It's really hard. It was actually my business manager for NatWest. I was having a really, really difficult time with cash flow. I'd opened the deal with my husband was always second baby, second salon. So, or second salon, second baby. I can't remember which way, what was it around? Oh yeah, so it was second salon, then second baby. So I always wanted another one because I needed to see if I could replicate it. You know, like I knew that the first one worked. Was it just potluck? Or was it just a luck of the draw that I found the right town, you know, it worked. So I needed to set one up in a different town, different location, and see if I could replicate it, to see if my chain of 10 would work or be successful. And the second one nearly broke me, as in financially. I made some fundamental errors, really stupid mistakes, calculating the loss of my first year and added that to the loss of my other salon. It was so stupid. And all of a sudden I was like scratching around for 10 grand thinking, how am I going to do this? I'm going to lose my whole business.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really stressful. And I was covering some sickness in Farnham, and I met this incredible woman who owns a chain of estate agents. And she said to me, the second one's the hardest because you've only got one to rely on. Then it gets easier with your third, because you've got two to rely on, and after that it's really easy because you've got so many to rely on.
Yeah.
To support you as you grow. And I thought about it and I was like, I just don't know if I could deal with the stress of all of that again. And then my business manager sat me down, because she was trying to help me find this money. And we got it together in the end. And she said, have you thought about franchising? And I was like, I don't know. She went, well, I know you've always had your goal of 10. Why didn't you think about franchising? And I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll have a look into it. So I went to the franchise show with the second baby and the first baby, well, the first toddler and the husband in tow. And I went to the franchise show in Birmingham. And I'll never forget it, Katie. It was the most scene of grey and black suits I've ever seen. And I was there in this brightly coloured dress with a baby who I was breastfeeding and a toddler. And I was like, I couldn't have looked more out of place. Anyway, so I was like, I'm going to go and sit. There was a seminar, how to franchise your business. And I was like, I'm going to sit there. That's what I'm going to do. But my baby needed breastfeeding. So I had to feed her whilst being surrounded with suits, listening to another suit talk about franchising. And
I've literally got shivers listening to this.
And he kept on looking at me, the guy that was doing the lecture about it. He kept on looking at me and like catching my eye. And I was like, oh God, I'm not going to be embarrassed. I refuse to be embarrassed for breastfeeding my child. I refuse. And then there was like my husband trying to keep the toddler entertained by walking her around the buggy, and I don't know what he was doing, bless him. Anyway, I learned loads about franchising your business, and I talked to the people that were doing it, and it just so happened they were Ashton's consultancy, who I used my whole journey through it, and they were amazing, and it was the best money I've ever spent, because I had no clue. I just knew what I wanted. I knew what my vision was, and I didn't have that expertise, so I paid someone else that did. And it was about a year, I think it took, for me to set the business up, because the operations manuals and all of that, it's a beast to create.
Yeah.
And the franchise manual, and learning about management service fees and how to set your price on your franchise fee, and everything's included, and then the legal side of things as well. And I was adamant, if I was going to do it, I've never done things half-assed. It's always all or nothing. Like, do it really, really well, or don't bother at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that to him, Richard, my franchise consultant, and he said it's the best attitude to have. Take it slowly and get it right, and then you haven't got to come back to it. And I was just lucky that he was the guy doing the lecture about how to franchise your business, and that's how I got into it.
Wow, that's so good. So good. I've dealt with that company before as well, and they are really, really good. So if anyone is interested in franchising their business, I'd definitely recommend them.
Yeah, definitely. They know what they're talking. That's what they do. You know, they run the Subway franchise. They've done something with them. They do the tax assist as well. They do loads of them. And I truly believe that if you are lacking in an expertise, just get someone on board that can do it for you or with you. There's no point in trying to learn everything, is there?
No, definitely not. How do you find, obviously, running the businesses along your family? Because you have a young family, a beautiful one. How's your normal day-to-day look?
Hectic, crazy. I feel like my head's going to pop off most of the time. It's all about routine, and luckily they're young kids, so they need a routine as well. They're 2 and 4, and the dog, he's 2 too. And I've got a really incredible husband that's so supportive, and he loves this journey, and he is as invested in it as I am, but he works for himself too. So we've got 2 self-employed people with 2 kids and a dog, and it is crazy. Life is crazy. But I don't think I'd have it any other way. I think it would be quite boring otherwise.
Yeah, I can't imagine you doing anything else.
It'd be a 9 to 5 job. But it's, I suppose, communication is massive. We have to sit down and plan the week. I've got planners for the family, like who's doing what and when. And also I make it work. The beauty of working for yourself is that, you know what, I want to pick Willow up at 3:30 on a Wednesday. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You make it work for you, don't you?
Definitely. I always say, like, in business, because you have to work the business around you, not you work for the business.
Definitely. That is so important because because you've got to have a balance of, enjoying your life and the freedom that working for yourself gives you. I feel like if you don't have any freedom whilst you're running your own business, then you maybe need to reassess your priorities and turn it around a little bit, because the business functions without me, and it's a great position to be in. If anything happened to me and I needed, and I was out of action for a few weeks, that business would continue. And it's taken, I think it's 6 years we've had it now, so it's taken 6 years to get there. And that's exactly what I aimed for.
Yeah, definitely. And also long term as well. Like, people don't see this when they do set up their own salons or their own businesses. You need an exit goal. Yeah. And if you're stuck in that business and it doesn't run without you for a few weeks, you've got no help in selling it.
Exactly. And it's only you that's suffering, isn't it? If you're so involved in your business that you can't step away, it's only you that's suffering. It's just being controlling as well. I think the most powerful thing I've ever learned managing other people is to allow them to screw up and let them feel comfortable by making those mistakes, because they'll be a stronger leader in the future. And ideally, that'll be a stronger leader with you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. What would you say has been your hardest struggle in business so far?
Cash flow. That time when I thought I was going to lose everything. And I looked at Funding Circle, I looked at everything, but I just opened the second salon. So nobody was going to invest in me or my business or, the Mooeys brand. No one was going to look at it, because we were running at a deficit, because we'd put all of the expenditure for the second salon in that financial year. So we made that 1 year look awful so that, we could start afresh the next year.
Yeah.
And it was a good decision to make at the time, but the worst decision, because then we hit this little bit of a crisis, and no one would look at us. Luckily, I've got a wicked business partner, and I actually met her working at Centre Parks, and I went to her for advice on how to set up a business and how to do a business plan. And then what do I do from there? And she gave me loads of advice and then said, you need an investor. And I was like, oh, how do you find one of them? Because you just think like corporate, scary, bloke that, to look at invest in your business. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that involved. And she was like, no, just someone like me. And it was it was brilliant. But she bailed us out of that situation.
Wow.
Yeah, she did. And we paid her back, or the business paid her back within about a year, I think.
That's so good.
But yeah, that was really, really tough to think you're going to lose everything you'd ever dreamt of. But then also, I think because it's what you've dreamt of, you've got that fight or flight, haven't you? You kind of you just think, this is not going to fail. I'm not going to let it. I'll do whatever I have to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been in that position. It's either you let it all go and have nothing, or you just keep fighting, and that's going to be your life, and you just got to fight through it because you do see the other end.
Yeah, but if you've got that mentality, you'll be successful in anything, I think.
Yeah, definitely. What's been your proudest point so far?
Oh, there's been loads because I am a super proud owner and team leader. I'm so proud of all of the team. They're incredible. One of my proudest moments, it was quite early on, and it's something I'll never forget, because when I set the whole business up, I wanted it to be comfortable for everybody. I didn't want it to be about status or money or just like aiming my business at rich people. You know, a lot of salons do that. They aim really high and they charge really high prices to get a certain like status of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted the opposite. I wanted something for everybody. And I wanted somewhere that was non-judgmental, that people would feel really welcome and part of something, a community. And I was doing a pedicure. There was 3 of us doing pedicures, and the 3 ladies sat having their feet done. I knew them all individually, the clients. And one was a millionaire, one was a really, really established businesswoman, and the other one was on benefits and someone had bought her a gift card. And all 3 of them didn't once ask each other money, status, job, anything. They just talked about kids and partners.
Wow.
And I sat there and I was just letting them talk, because that's what we wanted. I've created a space that is like a community, like where everybody just chats amongst themselves together, clients, staff, all of it. And that was probably my proudest moment, because I knew that I'd achieved what I wanted, where
Yeah.
it was just the women supporting each other. And they were there. One of them was a bit teary, and they were just talking about kids and husband and life and how tough it is sometimes. But all 3 of them had each other's back in that moment in time.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. And I kind of sat there thinking, I wish I could film this. I wish I could capture this, because this is the advert for Mooeys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more of an emotional thing that I'm more proud of, that we have achieved that. And now I know that it can be replicated and it can go everywhere, because the other 2 salons are just as successful. It's still early days.
Yeah, definitely. So good. I love that. If anyone was wanting to set up a salon or start or open one of your franchises or anything like that, what was your kind of biggest piece of advice you'd give them?
Oh, know your figures.
Hmm.
I love budgeting. It's one of my favourite things to do. Budgeting spreadsheets actually really excite me. But you have to understand your figures and your expenditure. And when you should always set up a budget for what sort of revenue you'd want to achieve. So your targets, however you want to say it. And I think it's really important not to overestimate. Be really realistic, because there's nothing more disappointing than not achieving your own goals that you set for yourself. And if you set yourself a target of 10 grand in a month and you come in at 5, you kind of go, oh, I failed already. When if you go in saying, oh, I'm going to give myself a really easy ride for the first 6 months, then you know what deficit you're going to be in realistically for that first year. And then you can kind of just plod along, and just anything you do over is better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And yeah, just know your figures. Don't just rely on an accountant giving you feedback every couple of months. Actually understand what you spend and what revenue comes in and how much you've got left in your pot at the end of it.
Definitely. And I coach that all the time. It is amazing the amount of business owners that don't know their figures, and a lot of the time it's because they kind of fell into it, become a great beautician, then thought, oh, open up a salon, then realize I've got a team, and then think, oh my god, I don't even know how to do my accounts or what money I'm bringing in or what my turnover is, or they don't know any of that. And that's okay, as long as you're willing to like learn and find out what that is. But once you know your figures, it really is like the thing to everything.
And also, you'll be so much more successful if you understand it, and if you understand what your profit margin is and how much you should spend on stock. Because otherwise it's kind of like you're running a business blind in the hope that it works out.
Yeah.
Well, you are the leader. It's really corny, but you are the leader of your own destiny. And if you are just going to bumble through what you're doing, that's all you're going to get. If you want it to earn you a shed load of money, it can be done, but you have to understand where everything is coming in and going out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Amy, I know we're both going on school runs now.
Oh, exciting.
Woohoo, Friday night.
It's rock and roll for us.
So I am going to let you go, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, this is just amazing. I think I had shivers the whole way through.
Bless you.
Honestly, you were so inspiring. It's brilliant, and I can't wait for people to listen in. Where can people find you if they want to get hold of you or drop you?
I'm everywhere, Katie. I'm everywhere. So LinkedIn, if anyone wants to get in touch with me business-wise, we've got our Mooeys website. You can contact me through there. Facebook. I've also got a Mooeys Masters Facebook group that I've started, and it is a private group, but it's like a community of beauty therapists, and I want somewhere that is just a really empowering space for people to support each other and get some really good advice or feedback, or just support each other. If there's problems, customer complaints, whatever it is, like, let's just help each other. Let's just be kind and support each other. We're such an incredible breed of people, and we care about our clients so much, but we don't always care about each other. I think that's really important. So yeah, Mooeys Masters, join the group.
Oh, well, I'll be joining in that as soon as we get off the call.
Thanks.
No, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on and spending this hour with me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's been lovely to chat to you.
We would love to hear what you thought about this episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please leave a review and share on social media tagging @KG Salon so we can share.
I always follow them.
Until next time, have an amazing, successful week.